Today we're going to be talking a lot about, effectively how we utilize the Art of Homeownership platform in today's market, kind of what the perfect day looks like from an originator's perspective, and we'll do some mindset stuff at the end. I think it's probably one of the most important things we're going to be talking about right now. But I'll tell you what, I've done a couple of these presentations, Art of Homeownership presentations with the app now, not only to real estate professionals, but to other type of ancillary, trusted professionals, and it's a full game changer. It's been fun. It definitely is the wins that we are picking up on and continuing to run down that track. So without further ado, let me share my screen and we can jump into this. All right. So a lot of what we were asked is, okay, look, we know we have this, what we often refer to as a weapon of mass destruction against the market, right? We have, a lot of what I see online in the mortgage chat community, which I try and stay out of as much as possible, is, price, right? We just need to be cheap. We need to be cheaper. We need to, everybody's, banks are more expensive and and brokers and all this stuff. When in reality, it's all just a value conversation, right? Because price really only matters in the absence of value. And closing fast is a value. I would argue not necessarily a very important one. Customer service is a value, but only to a certain extent. Relationship can be a value depending upon how that relationship goes. But the only real value is something that you can tangibly point to and say, this will actually move the needle in your life. Like when you buy something, if you think it will improve your life, you will pay more for it. Right? If you think that it gives you some sort of efficiency, you'll pay more for it. Right? There's a reason why we pay thousands of dollars for cell phones, right? When you could get a cheap cell phone for $100, because we find more value in the higher cost price option. I'm not saying you have to be higher cost, right? You can price your loans wherever you want. You can price your commissions wherever you want. But if you don't want to have to be the cheapest, you need something to set you apart, right? And you need something that you can tangibly show, hey, this is going to create more value for you in your life, and this is what we're going to commit to. And being able to have that conversation right now is a conversation that very few people are having. So let's walk through this here, and we'll do some Q&A towards the end. Feel free to type stuff in the chat, raise your hand, and give us feedback along the way. All right. So what activities should mortgage professionals be focusing on right now? When this was originally written, I had written realtor relationships, and then I stopped myself and realized that partnerships are way more important than relationships. Relationships are great, right? You have to be in good relation with the people that you work with. But if your real estate agents don't see you as a partner to their business, it's a problem, right? Because that means that you're only going to get the people who say, I want to buy a home and I need a mortgage. Who do you know, right? That's going to trigger, okay, I know, Ryan, he's a loan officer. I'll send him to him, right? Because he's my lending relationship. He's who I know. That is a very small amount of people these days, right? For a lot of reasons. The benefit of being a partner is that they think of you day in and day out, week in and week out. You're a fabric of their business. And you are that because you've helped them with their value proposition. They can now go tell a different story, right? They can go now offer a different product to the client. And you can help them with their database, which is incredibly valuable right now, right? There's so much opportunity in people's databases. You can help them with their prospects, incredibly valuable. You can help them from a marketing perspective. You can help them from a conversion perspective. You can help them from a value and price perspective. And they don't have to lower their commissions or be the cheapest one to get that listing. So think through if you're a mortgage professional on this call, think through, really ask yourself, of all the real estate agents I work with, who considers me a partner, in their business, an invaluable part of their business, that if I wasn't there, their business would suffer. They wouldn't do as well, right? Or who just considers me kind of a lending resource, and we go to lunch every now and then and we chat, and I do a good job on their loans, right? We fund their loans just really well. But I'm not really built into the fabric. I'm not a part of that day to day. And to ask yourself the question, right? Because that is what you really want to focus on right now. And I promise you, 10 real estate partnerships will blow the doors off of 100 real estate relationships. You'll get way more from those opportunities, assuming they're the right partnerships. Next is financial advisors, CPAs, trust attorneys. I would specifically focus on financial advisors right now. There's just so much opportunity, right? With inflation happening, with the cost of living, just going up considerably, with retirement planning getting thrown off because of that, with housing prices being uncertain, with interest rates climbing, not just mortgage rates, but credit card interest rates, car payments, all the stuff that people typically need money for. Financial planners need mortgage planners as a resource, right? And more importantly, they need them as a partner. So I'd really focus heavily on that. And when you show them what we do and how we do it, it's a huge win for them. Next is social media presence. We are very much in an attention economy. And I will tell you, I had over 40 people download the Art of Homeownership app with one social media video, right? There was if you guys haven't seen it, it was a Instagram reel. There was a viral video that went out where this girl was crying because her credit score dropped because she opened a Home Depot credit card, and it dropped her credit score. She couldn't get approved for a home loan, and she was just distraught, right? That video went all over the internet. So I just grabbed the first part of that, I played it, and then my second half was, hey, if you were an Art of Homeownership member and you use Art of Homeownership app, you would not have had this happen, right? It would help you monitor your credit. It helps give you credit analytics. It helps you with your budgeting. It helps you with your home goals. We would have been working with you well in advance of your plan to purchase a home, and we would have given you guidance not to open up stupid Home Depot credit cards for $9, right? 40 people downloaded the app. 6,000 people viewed the video. Social media presence is more than about just posting who you are and what you're doing. It's about telling a different story. It's about offering a different product, right? Because a lot of people are out there and they're talking about, how to buy your first-time home buyer tips, or how to save money, or how to do this, or how to get your offer accepted. All really good information, but that information only pertains to people that want to buy a home right now. Right? It only pertains to people that maybe want to sell a home right now or get a mortgage in some way, which is 1% of the country. But 99% of the country would love advice and guidance and strategy and help and tools and systems to be able to one day buy a home or figure out when they should sell or buy an investment property, because nobody else in their life is giving them that information. You have a product now that you can offer to everyone. It's free to them and it's incredibly valuable. And you just let them know, I'm sponsoring this for you, right? Our commitment is to help you grow in every aspect of real estate or finance. And when it makes sense for you to buy, sell, or finance a home, we will help you understand it. We will work with you towards that goal, right? Click here to download. So the social media presence you're doing, it's important. It really is. I was just at the Forward conference, and Gary Vee was there saying, you need 13 pieces of content per day, which gave me a little bit of anxiety because I do maybe 1 or 2 at the most. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, look, not only do we have something really special to say, but we have something incredibly valuable to offer. The mortgage industry and real estate industry has never had anything to offer other than our transactional services. Hey, if you need a loan or if you want to buy or sell a house, we're here. But even if you don't, we still want to help, and here's how. That message should be everywhere. And I'm seeing more and more of you people at Art of Homeownership partners put that message out there, but it needs to be out there more and more consistently. You need to think of more creative and unique ways to put that message out there. Tell stories, show examples. I'm assuming all of you have the app downloaded on your phone and you're using it personally. If you're not, you should, right? And then as you're doing that, you'll be thinking, oh, wow, this is cool. As soon as you think that, share it, right? Or, oh, this client just downloaded it and they created a goal of buying a first home. Share that. Hey, here's the back end of my app system. Right now we have 24 clients that have a goal of buying a home. And some of them are 80% of the way there, some of them are 10% of the way there. and we're helping them all along the way. Where are you at in your goal setting? Is anyone helping you with it? If not, download this. We'll help you. Doesn't cause anything. You never have to get a home loan with us. Like, that's the type of content we need to be putting out there. If you have this tool and no one knows about it, it's worthless. It really is. If you're not using it, it's worthless. If you're not talking about it, it's worthless. If you're not doing presentations with it, it's worthless. Right? If you have a nuclear weapon or a weapon of mass destruction, and it's just, I'm not advocating using those, but if no one knows you have it, then they're gonna, you're just gonna be like any other person. But if people know you have it, and they know that they can access it, they can use it, there's a huge opportunity there. We have some in the chat here. Valerie's saying video content is king. Make it happen. Yeah, it's got to mean the stagnant stuff nobody's going to look at. Val can tell you more, but I think YouTube Shorts, Facebook fan pages, Instagram Reels, like those are the areas where it's not just your friends that will see you, right? It's thousands of people that don't know you at all, and you're going to get on and tell a different story too. And if that makes you uncomfortable, hire someone to do it, right? Like, hire a business development manager to do it for you, right? Have somebody step in and tell your story, right? Or just be uncomfortable, right? And be comfortable being uncomfortable. So, you have to be able to put this content out there, and then, otherwise just nobody's going to know. I mean, I can't tell you how many real estate agents or financial planners will reach out to us when they see our content. Hey, I love what you're doing. Can we connect? Yeah. Like, wouldn't you want people to come to you as opposed to you having to cold call people? So make sure you're using this at a high level. And every time you think about, just go through the app, each part. There's 20 different things, just the app itself. And then you could go into how we help people with the real estate wealth digest and what we're doing with home real estate maintenance. Like, if they see that enough, they're gonna be like, Jesus, when I worked with my last lender or realtor, they did zero of that stuff. And I keep seeing this guy committing to helping people in ways that nobody else is. So it's important. Next is going to be in-person events. People actually like going to events. They always have, and they definitely do now because they haven't gone in quite some time. We've been throwing events all over the country. Right? We're doing an event in Washington coming up. We're doing one in Colorado coming up. We did one in Riverside. We did one in Irvine. We did one in Las Vegas. These events are your one-to-many opportunity, right? And they're the opportunity to shake hands and look people in the eye and tell them how valuable your mortgage or real estate practice is. Database management, team, when these headlines start coming out about interest rates climbing, home prices, being questionable, there's not a home buyer in the country, there's not a home owner in the country who, not just for a brief second, doesn't think, I wonder if I should sell my house. And you know what they do next? Absolutely nothing. You know why? Because no one can answer that question for them, or they don't know where to get that question answered. Right? If you can put that on there, hey, if you even remotely thought about selling your house and you just want unbiased advice or guidance, or you want a financial transition plan, or you just want, if you feel like you deserve to have 100% confidence in whatever your plan is, whether it's to absolutely stay or absolutely sell, connect with us here. You can download the app. There's tools, there's systems, there's a lot of information, and we'll help you. We'll give you a free no-cost analysis, right? An equity analysis and a financial transition planning analysis that will help you say, no, I actually shouldn't sell my house. I should stay. Or actually, it might be a good idea because based upon my goals, this is a really good time, right? If you're not sure, reach out. We'll help you understand it, right? No cost. You don't have to do a mortgage. We're not going to run your credit. Like, that's the type of information we need to have. We need people coming to us with that type of questions. But your database, that's a social media content. The database should just be, hey, Joe, how you doing, man? I know, there's a lot of headlines, a lot of, misinformation running around out there. Most of our clients right now who own homes, just like you, they are interested, and we can tell that they are interested in potentially looking at selling their home. Has that even crossed your mind? Yeah, actually, I thought about it. We probably never would, but crossed my mind. Why don't I do this? Let me just put together an analysis for you. All right, like, it's just going to give you and your wife some information, something to talk about. I see that you've been kind of looking at home value, and you've been looking at some things on a real estate wealth digest. And I know that you put your information in the app, which is great, but let's help you really understand that. So you're not just kind of wondering. It's likely that you probably shouldn't sell and you should just stay, but in the event that it might make sense, let me just put something together for you. Sound good? Great. I'll put it together. I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Opportunity to help somebody make a better decision, right? It's better than sitting on your hands. So engage your database at a high level. You already have this amazing tool that helps you see into what they're doing. Now just, reach out and help them fill in the gaps. One-to-many virtual presentations. This is exactly what I'm doing right now, right? You can do this for your clients. You can do it for your real estate partners. You could do it for your trusted professional partners. You could just do it to any person who wants to come along by marketing it online and seeing who shows up. And team, I'll tell you, when I first started these things, 2 people would show up, 1 person would show up, no people would show up. But now we'll get 50 to 100. Sometimes we'll get, one time we had 800 people show up. Right? Just depends upon the content, depends upon the time. Like, read the headlines, and then when you know that people are going to be scared about headlines, hey, I'm going to talk. This headline just came out. I'm going to debunk this. I'm going to help you better understand it. I'm going to help you understand what it really means. All right, we're going to host this event. It's going to be 30 minutes. It'll be 15 minutes. It'll be whatever. Show up. You can do a StreamYard and you can push it out to all those different channels. But just get comfortable being in the public eye. Like, you need to be as visible as possible right now, and immense amount of opportunities will come from it. So let's talk about a perfect day. We did this for our team a while back, because when people get fearful, they get paralyzed and they do nothing. And when their energy drops, there's a serotonin release and a dopamine release that kind of balance each other out when you're doing well and when you're not doing well. What also happens is testosterone and adrenaline go up when you're performing well. Right? When you're winning, hard work seems easy, right? Because it's momentum, you're winning, you have higher testosterone, even in females, and your adrenaline is always there. When you start losing, or even the perception that you're losing, or you're not doing as well as you were in years past, which, I know not everybody's in that boat. There's quite a few people that I know that are actually doing better this year than last year. But I would, it's probably safe to say the majority of originators and real estate agents are not having the same type of production that they were having previously. And because of that, their testosterone drops, their adrenaline drops, and hard work seems a lot harder. And when that's the case, stagnancy sits in, complacency sets in, telling yourself a story that, I'll just kind of wait till it gets better to get back in, or whatever the case may be. It's the exact opposite of what you need to be doing. And so you need to judge yourself on, how did I do every day? How did I show up every day? I'm going to talk more about that later, but it's hard to judge yourself if you don't really know what the perfect day looks like. So one is, I would say, 6+ meaningful client conversations. So not just touch-ins. Hey, Joe, how you doing? How's the family? What's going on? What's new? All right, well, if you need anything in real estate or mortgage, I'm here for you. That's just marketing, right? That's just relationship sustaining. The meaningful client conversations are talking to people about their real estate or financial situation, and then providing some sort of solution. Just kind of like the script that I just said. Hey, Joe, have you ever thought about selling your home, even remotely? Yeah, well, let me do an analysis, blah, 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 and I'll get back to you. Great. That's a meaningful conversation. And then the follow-up call is a meaningful conversation, right? When you're actually going to present his options to him. But, and I'm going to talk to the mortgage professionals on the call specifically. We are way too dependent on our referral partners to keep us active. We should be proactive to help them, right? So not only should we be calling our database, we should be calling their databases, right? We should be reaching out to their prospects. We should be having as many meaningful client conversations as possible and solving their problems, right? Fixing their fears. There's so many things that are happening right now. An amazing conversation to have with anyone who was interested in buying a home in the last couple of years but didn't, is, hey, Joe, I know you were interested in buying a home over the last 6 months. We never ended up getting that done. Now is a phenomenal time, because sellers are actually very willing to either A, do a price reduction, or B, do a seller concession to actually buy your interest rate down, meaning that you can get a rate, in the mid to low fours potentially. Rates that weren't available or definitely aren't available today, and they weren't, they were only available 6 or 7 months ago. So not only can you get a great price on the home now, but you can get an interest rate from 6 or 7 months ago, right? And which means that you can buy either a more, a higher purchase price home, or you can just get a lower payment on the home that you were looking at to begin with. Were you aware of that? Did you know that's happening? No. Well, let me show you how that's happening. Meaningful client conversation. So judge yourself on if you're having 6 plus more of those per day. And the reason why I say 6 plus is that number is because I believe that a meaningful client conversation takes anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes if it's really done well. All right. So if you have 6 of them, even at that 30-minute mark, you're already 3 hours in, and then you're going to have to do follow-up and preparation and, CRM management and all that kind of stuff around it. So, that could be essentially half of your day, but it's the only thing that we should be doing, right? It's literally our goal, right? The reason why we look to referral partners is in order to have client conversations, right? So why aren't we just going to the source, right? Why are we so focused on more meetings with referral partners when they may not actually have the people we need, right? And this goes to real estate professionals as well. So focus on that as kind of your benchmark. Next is one or more large presentation to referral partners, basically a one-to-many, a team meetings or in person or online. So, if you work with a real estate team, right, go talk to them. There's probably 6 or 7 of them, right? That's one-to-many. Do online events like we talked about. Do in-person large events. One of those a day sounds like it might be a lot, but there's a lot of groups that would be interested in showing up to a 30-minute presentation on the seller buy down, on redefining what it means to be a real estate mortgage professional. And I want to talk about this later, but growing, not just growing your production business, but growing the scale of your enterprise as a whole through recruiting. So if you're a mortgage professional and you're thinking about, don't just invite realtors, invite lenders, invite title, invite escrow, invite appraisers, invite anybody in the industry that you could potentially think of, financial planners, estate planning attorneys, CPAs, invite the entirety of the industry, because you will grow that way, right? In many ways, right? You'll grow from referrals, and you'll grow from people wanting to join your team because you'll be the subject matter expert that they would like to be one day. Next is 1+ referral partnership meeting. So this is with an existing partner. We all know that we need to stay in front of our business partners, right? But just staying in front of them is relationship building. Coming to them with strategies and solutions and tactics and results is another. So if you feel like you're just going into these meetings, giving market updates or, what do you guys need? How can we help? If you're not coming with solutions to problems or strategies to grow, rethink those meetings, because nobody wants to have a meeting just for the sake of having a meeting, right? We're all busy, or we all should be busy. So when you're thinking about your partnership meetings, and again, this could be CPA, financial planner, estate planning attorney, contractor, could be builder, realtor, could be all sorts of stuff. But because there's so many to have, one a day should be your benchmark, right? So it should be what you said, and that's, probably take an hour. And we'll go through this perfect day from an hour perspective in a second here. One new referral partnership meeting scheduled. And again, the caveat here is until you're fully committed. You really want to be meeting with new partners on a daily basis. Not in perpetuity, however. Once you have roughly 10 really strong real estate partnerships, not relationships, you can probably cut it off there. If you have 10 of the right ones, that's more than enough to make your business. Once and maybe you have 5 really strong and 5 that aren't really strong, keep going, right? Because the ones that aren't really strong, you could help improve through existing partnership meetings. And, there's some that may need to be replaced, because the unfortunate part of this is you just can't be everything to everyone, right? You have to be the right things to the right people, and they want that too, right? So if you're going to be the right things to the right people, you just have to find the right 10, right? And keep going until you find them. And spoiler alert, they don't have to be in your market, right? And they probably shouldn't be in your market, right? Like, depending upon the size of your metropolitan statistical area, if it's not massive, You should probably maybe have 1, 2, or 3 partners in your current market, and then an hour away you want one or so, and then another hour in the other direction you want one, and then in the state over you want one, and the state under you want one, right? Like, try and move out, because if you're really going to help with becoming an Art of Homeownership professional, and you're going to help them grow their business, you kind of want to make sure you're helping the right people in those markets. If you have 10 people all in the same market, you're going to create some competition. And even though it's a scarcity way of thinking for people to think that that's a problem, it is helpful for you to branch out. It's helpful for you to diversify the demographics that you serve. It's helpful for you to diversify the home price ranges that you're in. It's just helpful overall. We got a question in the chat here. What's the first person to hire? Loan production assistant or someone to help with AOH and marketing social media? Mark, that's really a question that has to do with your current setup. So, how many families are you helping per month? What's your volume? What's your profitability on that volume as a business owner? And then what's your genius zone, right? Because some people's genius zone is more as an operator than an artist. But if you're more of an artist, like more biz dev and more into creative and more into content creation, then you definitely want a production partner that's going to help you with the production of the business. If you're more of that operator and you're good at it, but you're not great with the biz dev, the marketing, and the social media side, then hire that person, right? So it really depends upon who you are, where your genius zone is, and then where you are in your business, right? Because you just want to make sure you have the consistency and the scale behind it. But yeah, that would be how I'd answer that question. So if you're more the operator, hire the marketing person. If you're more of the outward biz dev person, hire the production partner. Just make sure it fits into your model there. Next is ONE+ listing agent seller buy down presentation. Man, I mean, guys, I met with a new realtor partner that we're working with out of Las Vegas. This guy and his team do about 60 to 70 transactions a month. And, half of those are listings roughly. And I said, hey, what's your strategy right now for price reductions, right? I'm assuming the homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer. And like, when do you do those? When do you talk about them? He's like, yeah, it's, unfortunately, we're having to do quite a few of them. And I had to do one earlier today with a buddy of mine. It was a $500,000 home, and we reduced it down to $450 or $449, and we got a few offers. And I was just like, man, okay, well, I'm assuming that the lenders that you used to work with told you all about the seller buy down strategy, how to utilize that to save the seller money, how to utilize it to market the properties to get them sold faster and for a higher price. He goes, no, what's a seller buy down? And I was just scratching my head, because we live in this mortgage bubble, right? And largely in a real estate bubble, where we believe that everybody knows what we know. And that's quite obviously not the case. And we also believe that everybody knows what we do. That's very obviously not the case, right? Because we're not talking about it enough. So after 20 minutes of me explaining what the seller buy down concept is, and he does a ton of marketing, he does radio, he does TV, he does billboard, he does all sorts of marketing, spends a ton of money on marketing. You could see the light go off. And he's like, wow, can you even imagine what we can do with this? And I said, yeah, we just happen to have all of the stuff, right? We can do the sign writers, we can do the QR codes, we can help you with the social media marketing around it. Just do me a favor. Anytime you list a home, make sure to talk to us about it before you even list it. That way we know what the strategy is. If within 30 days we're not under contract and you start thinking price reduction, we'll start thinking seller buy down and how we can market around that. I mean, there's guys, I did this math yesterday. 347,000 single family homes were sold in the month of June, just in the state of California. So one state, one property type, single family homes, almost 350,000 of them were sold. And more inventory is coming on the market every day. You could go on and you could do 100 of these calls a day. You could call 100 listing agents with homes that have been on the market for 30 days or longer and start talking about this, and they would absolutely eat it up. It's just a matter of, the action now. Question is, are you going to do it? There's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path, right? We have the ability to walk the path with a gift to give everyone with the Art of Homeownership platform and all the things that we do. And then one piece of good, relevant video content created and posted per day, as we talked about. And then one new client adopted into your new experience platform. So the relevant video content per day, I created this before that conference. I would probably make that 4 or 5 now. Might feel like overkill. Promise you it's not, especially if you're putting it in the right places. If you're just posting it to your own personal Facebook page or your own personal Instagram page, that might be a little overkill because only your friends are going to see that. And they'll be like, oh God, this guy posts 5 things a day. But if you post it to the places you're supposed to, well, then thousands of people who have no idea who you are going to see it, right? And that's why the number of posts and relevant video content is important. And then in terms of adopting one client into, like, I got 40 in a couple hours. So technically I'm good for 2 months, right? Because there's 20 roughly working days in the month. So if I really wanted to slack off, I could be like, man, I'm on pace. I adopted 1 new client into my platform, and now I'm good for 2 months. Obviously, you would never do that, right? You'd keep your foot on the gas. But just think about it, right? Let's just, for easy math, let's just say it's 1 new client per day, including weekends. That's 365 new clients that you have adopted, that you get to call, you get to have a discovery call with, you get to learn about them, you get to track what they're doing, you get to track what they're looking at, you get to track their credit score, their net worth, their home valuation, right? It's essentially your client, right? You get to adopt their mortgage, you get to strategize with them on their mortgage. 365 people, just 1 a day. How many transactions are you going to do in a year? Let's say it's 100, right? Some people do more, some people do less. If those are the people you're putting into your client category, it's only 100 a year, right? You could triple or quadruple that without ever giving anyone a loan. Now, granted, of those 365, you're going to give quite a few of those people some loans, right? And you're going to, if you're a real estate agent, you're going to sell quite a few people properties. And then that's just going to add to your already existing 100 families that you're serving per year. So we have something to offer. We have something to give. Now we just need to actually go give it. All right, let me go here. So how to leverage Art of Homeownership into the current market. Give me 1 sec. So how do we leverage into the current market? Is we need to focus time and energy when it comes to Art of Homeownership on what we're actually committing to do. So when you think through what you have, right, in terms of Art of Homeownership, how do you create, if you go back to the perfect day here, I'm going to go back 1 slide here. Everything that you do here should incorporate what you're investing your business in, right? You're investing your business in improving the communities you serve through committing to higher level financial advisement, higher level, commitment to who they are and their ultimate financial success. So everything you're doing within your perfect day needs to do that, which means that you have, the time and energy to really put that behind all of your messages. Next is the key features that make Art of Homeownership a standout, especially given the market conditions. So if I'm thinking through what the average person needs right now, is they need information, right? They need education, because nothing else is really going to help them stand out. There's just more uncertainty than there is confidence. And so if I can give them all of the tools, right? If I can give them a home concierge to make sure that their home is maintained and kept up at a high level, people will want that, right? If I can give them a tool to help them track home values if they're not a homeowner, or if they are a homeowner, track their own home value and all the things they can do with it, that helps me stand out in this market. And if I can help them with a perfect mortgage promise, especially with all the things that are happening in the mortgage market, if I can help them with a tool that they keep in their pocket that keeps them approved for mortgages at all times, right? They have this constant, basically fully underwritten loan approval in their pocket that also tells them, it helps them manage credit score, all these other things. Like, This is what makes you stand out. You know what doesn't make you stand out? 5 tips for first-time home buyers. You know what else doesn't make you stand out? Closing a loan in 15 days. Every person on the planet is doing that right now. You know what else doesn't make you stand out? Low interest rates. Because everyone's talking about low interest rates. Now, whether or not they are the lowest or not is another story, right? But the client doesn't need the lowest interest rate. What they need is someone, as a team of people to help them, because I say this a million times, no one ever accomplishes their financial goals by saving money on their interest rate, right? That may help them have more spending cash. That may help them, be able to put a little bit more money aside. But look, 99% of America doesn't even know what to do with the money they put aside. They're just going to stick in the savings account. So you have this message, and we have hundreds of Art of Homeownership partners across the country. We should be seeing this everywhere. It should be a movement. It should be a trend. But if that's not your belief system, then just don't do it. Because otherwise, we're just selling a commodity, right? As realtors and lenders, we're just going to be commoditized over and over and over again, and we're going to have this race to the bottom. Let me answer some questions here. Let's see. Ryan, will you expand on where we should be posting to get thousands more eyes on the content? So yeah, TikTok is great. Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and then Facebook's fan pages are the 4 places that Gary Vee talked about, like where the puck is going. One thing he's really, really good at is kind of seeing the future of where eyeballs are going, right? He was talking about TikTok years ago, and I'm like, it's just something that little kids use, and it's the dumbest thing ever. And now it's where people get a lot of information. So I have been a non-believer in a lot of that stuff for quite some time. Not anymore, right? Because old advertising isn't working. When's the last time you watched a commercial? I haven't watched a commercial in years. When's the last time you read a magazine or looked in a newspaper or, called off of a billboard? We don't do that, right? We get our information from social media. It's you could debate whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, but if you're not where the eyeballs are, it's a problem. And you have this incredible opportunity to be the only person telling a different story where those eyeballs are. You're just not stepping into it. And you may think nobody cares about this, but all of a sudden people are going to care, right? You're going to get thousands. One of my good friends is terrified of public speaking. He gets short of breath, and he's working on it. He's getting better at it. But he was okay in front of a camera. In the beginning, not that great, just like all of us. None of us were great in the beginning. But over time, got better and better and focused. And he's got 50,000 people that follow him. And he's, one of his posts had almost 1 million views. So who's winning? Right? You with your low rate or your Art of Homeownership platform or your whatever your value proposition is, trying to call one person at a time, or somebody who's getting 1 million views. Now, if he couples his 1 million views with the Art of Homeownership, it's a full game over experience, right? He just, he hasn't really got to that place yet. He's just doing standard normal content that everyone else is doing, but it's still getting him the eyeballs. All right. So as we wrap up here, we get to the end, communicating with clients who are scared, which I would argue is almost everyone right now, rightly so. So one of the questions we got asked are there scenarios where getting them on the app and waiting to buy is the best thing for the consumer? And the answer is resoundingly yes. Because look, some people just can't or shouldn't buy a home right now for a multitude of reasons: income, assets, credit, viability, job security, potential for relocation. There's a lot of reasons why it might not make sense to buy a home right now, but there's every reason in the world to get them on the app and to get them to a place where they are learning from you and getting value from you and being able to connect and get advice. And you get 1,000 people using your system and using your services. 1% of those people per year are going to do a transaction, right? So that's 10. All right, now get 10,000 people on. That's 100, and then just keep going. And that's just the people that you're going to get signed up. not to mention the normal referrals and the normal database and the normal, just your normal business the way it is. So make it a goal of yours to get people on your Art of Homeownership platform. And the best way to do it is through the app, because they have all the services there. Obviously, they'll have HomeBot that'll go to them. You'll be able to see what they're doing on there. You'll be able to see what they're doing on the app. It's going to be a game changer for our industry. Next is what to tell consumers who want to buy, or who want to wait to buy, but are in a good place. This is another question we got. So there's going to be a lot of people who definitely can and should buy, and they should, but they won't because the headlines are scaring them, right? Either their Uncle Bob is telling them the market's going to crash and they want to wait. So just story selling around that and continually putting information in front of them is important. Data is going to help there, right? But the thing that's worked really well for us is when someone says, "Nah, I just don't know. I think the market's going to come down." Okay, great. Let's work through this. Let's say the market comes down 10% on a $500,000 home, right? You get it for $450. But it takes a year or 2 years for that to happen, right? Because we're not seeing the market come down yet. We're seeing more listings, and we're seeing, homes stay on the market longer, but we aren't seeing a whole lot of homes sell for less than the previous comp. So if it takes a year or 2 years for that to happen, show them the cost of waiting. Use the MBS highway analysis, cost of waiting, right? Show them what that's going to look like. Interest rates will probably be roughly the same, and they'll go up and down for sure, right? But if they can buy that $500,000 home today at a payment that's equivalent to $450,000 or even $400,000, wouldn't that make more sense, right? Because then they're going to get the upside, and yeah, maybe it goes to $450, but they were already paying a $450 equivalent payment anyways because of the seller concession, right? And then it's going to move right back up. But the alternative is you're renting, and the cost of renting is definitely going up. So you have to show cost of waiting analysis, you have to show rising rents, you have to show seller buy down strategy, and then you have to continue to put good content in front of them. But what you don't ever want to do is feel like you're pushing them towards that. You want to feel like that you're pulling them with really relevant, good content and information and helping them make a smart decision. And then again, they should be on the app the entire time, because then they can use all the tools on their way there. All right, so last thing I want to talk about, and then we'll get into the Q&A, is just keeping morale up during hard times. My business is talking to mortgage professionals. It is, I speak at a lot of conferences, and I try and understand what's happening in the marketplace. I still engage with real estate professionals. I still engage with clients from time to time. And the thing that I'm seeing the most is that people are playing a finite game, not an infinite game. So a finite game is where someone is winning or losing, right? There's an end, right? There's a shot clock, there's a scoreboard, time will run out, and there will be a winner and there will be a loser. Most of our industry right now is judging themselves on if they're winning or if they're losing, if they're number one or if they're not number one, if they're, closing an X number of transactions or they're not. And they're making decisions that are based on that factor. And that is absolutely the wrong thing to do, especially if you're on this webinar right now, you're an Art of Homeownership partner. You are absolutely playing the infinite game. And if you're paying for the Art of Homeownership, but playing the finite game, you're betting on black and red at the same time, right? You can't do that. The infinite game does not have a shot clock. There is no winners and losers. The infinite game player says, look, I know that we're in a certain time right now, but every decision I'm making and every choice that I'm making is investing in the next 30 plus years, right? It's investing in the future of my business and the future of my client's financial situation and the future of my referral partners' businesses as well. Now, if that means that I'm not the low price leader, then that's a decision I'm going to make. Because in what world does the low price leader ever win? They may win for a little while, but the companies that are the most successful, like the best example was in the Infinite Game book, Microsoft and Apple. He said he spoke at both conferences, right? At the Microsoft conference, 80% of the executives were spending almost the entire time talking about how they're going to beat Apple, right? And how they're going to be number one and how they're going to get more market share and how they're going to do this, that, and the other. When he went to the Apple conference, 100% of the executives were spending 100% of the time figuring out how they're going to make a better product and figuring out how they're going to, engage the world differently. They had zero interest in their competition, right? Because they knew that over time, by focusing on the right things and building a business that was surrounded around value, that they were going to end up achieving what they wanted to achieve. Had no interest in winning or losing, to the point to where Simon got in the car with an Apple executive and he was like, I'm going to stir the pot. He goes, look, they gave me this new Zune, which is Microsoft's version of the iPod. And he said, it's way better than the iPod. And the Apple guy looks at him and he says, I have no doubt that it is. Because he just wasn't concerned about that product on that day. He knew what they were working on was going to completely change that's why Microsoft doesn't have any form of, communication device anymore or music device anymore, right? They were winning in that time frame. Play the infinite game, right? That's why you have this Art of Homeownership platform. That's why you're going to change the mortgage industry and change the real estate industry. But if you're caught up in what's happening today, you're trying to play two games at the same time. Next is focusing on small wins in order to keep momentum going. If you perform that perfect day, if you even hit 50% of that perfect day, that's probably 99% better than what most people are doing right now. Most people are just sitting back, waiting for 2020 to come along again, or 2021 to come along again. It's going to come back. It's going to come back. And when it does, I'll be ready. Those people are going to have to find another industry, find another career. All right. But there are people out there that are still actively participating in improving their business, right, and improving the lives of the families that they serve. And each one of those small wins, you need to remember. I'll tell you, it's way easier to remember the losses. That's just what we're programmed to do, right? Fear is a much greater emotion than success. Our brain isn't actively wired towards success. It's wired towards, not having fear, right? Or to avoid getting killed. So you, in the same day, you could get a client to say yes to you and a client to say no to you. And you're going to just hammer on the fact that this client said no to you. And you're going to completely forget that you had a client that said yes. I'm going to ask you to reframe that, right? Focus on the wins, focus on the momentum, focus on the good things. Because again, when you focus on winning, testosterone goes up, adrenaline goes up, hard work becomes easier. But if you focus on losing, hard work becomes harder. Next is grow. Just grow your business, right? Bring on more production people, right? If you're in the mortgage business, bring in more originators and help them. If you're in the real estate business, bring in more real estate agents and help them, right? Find more clients, do the perfect day as much as possible, and just focus on growth. Be better tomorrow than you were today. Next is action equals progress. If you're not working towards that perfect day, then you're not being active. We did a sales contest and some people blew it out of the water, but they did it because they knew they had to. Other people didn't do much and the results show, right? They're not creating the action. They're not doing the things they need to do to move the needle. But I can promise you, if you just stay active, you'll see progress. But you may not see it for 60 days or 90 days. Just know it'll show up because you will outwork your competition, right? You'll outperform your competition. You'll have more value than your competition. And then lastly is judge your energy and effort, not the immediate results. I told my team this yesterday, but I was at a yoga class yesterday morning and we had to do this wheel pose where you have to kind of do this like back thing and you kind of look like a bridge. And I'm not that great at it, I'll be honest. And I know I'm not that great at it. And so the yoga teacher's looking around and there's not a lot of people that are great at it. There's some people that are good. And she says, right now, if you're judging your like how good your posture is, if you're judging, how well you can do this, you're doing it wrong. She says, don't judge how well you're doing in this pose. Judge the energy that you're giving off on the way to your result. And I was like, wow, okay, this yoga instructor is going to teach my seminar for the next couple of weeks, because that's what we're doing in our industry right now. Because for the last 3 years, 2019, 2020, 2021, they were really, really good years. Unarguably the best years in the history of the mortgage industry, right? And we were all judging our results and patting ourselves on the back and thinking about how great we were and how amazing business people we were, with very little effort, with very little activity, right? People were making hundreds of thousands of dollars in their underwear, right? They looked good up top, but they weren't wearing pants because they didn't have to go anywhere. You just call, talk to people, quote rates, 2%, close loan, move on. But now we have to flip that equation, right? We don't get to judge the results because, look, the results aren't nearly as good as they were a couple years ago for the majority of people. But now is the time to judge your energy and effort. So how is your energy when you wake up in the morning? Are you kind of like, oh crap, I got to go through another hard day? Or are you thinking, I have a value proposition that no one else has. I have the ability to sell a different product than anybody else. I have the ability to change an entire industry, and I'm going to go dominate today. I'm going to go absolutely, tell every single person I can about what we're doing and how we're doing it. Now I'm going to connect with 6+ clients, and I'm going to create my perfect day, and I'm going to get kicked in the teeth probably 3 or 4 times. I'm going to let those things roll off my back, and I'm going to keep going. Right? And at the end of the day, I'm going to look back and I'm going to feel how energized I was. I'm going to look back at the effort I put forth and the activity that I had, and results will show up. Very few people are doing that. And absolutely everybody should, especially everybody on this call. You just have a uniqueness about you. You have a different product to sell. You have a different story to tell people. Only question is, are you doing it? So let me stop there, and we got about 7 minutes left. What questions, comments, thoughts, feedback? How else can we help everybody here? Brett, thank you, man. I appreciate the comments. Yes, the presentation and the slides and the recording will be sent out to everybody on this call. So watch it, rewatch it. Even if you just have to watch this last section, I've had to re-say it myself a few times. Nobody's immune to what we're going through right now. Any other thoughts, questions, comments? Anything else we can help you all with? All right, well, I'll stick around for another 60 seconds or so and wait. Otherwise, everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Have an awesome month of August if I don't see you for the rest of August. But reach out if you have questions, if we can help you in any way. If anybody needs help with realtor presentations or any of that stuff, I'm always happy to help if I can fit it into the schedule. So reach out and happy to help in any way I can. Thanks, team.